Hello. So this is seemingly my last podcast, and in fact, the last podcast for this year, since the month of December has just arrived, and a lot of people will be busy wrapping up their work and you know getting ready for the next year. And by the time the second week arrives, the festive season is just knocking at the door. So let me keep this podcast to be the last podcast for this year, and the next podcast would be in the month of January when the festive season is over and people are completely energized to start the new year with new revolutions and new targets to be set for themselves. And I think at that point of time, the podcast which I'll be releasing would make more sense. So, talking about the last podcast for this year, I'll try to keep it seemingly short and seemingly simple for all of you to understand. And I want this podcast to be something which will catalyze the happiness you have for this year and the ending of this year and the festive season knocking at the door. I want this to end on a good note, on a very positive and optimist note, and fill it with so much of positivity and so much of optimism that by the time the year ends, we're completely boosted up, completely, energized to start the new year with a new set of optimism, a new set of targets, and a new set of positive vibes into ourselves. So, this podcast is about something which I have been noticing in the recent days by interacting with a lot of youngsters who have just started taking sales as their career options, and they are facing a lot of difficulties in sales, which in some or the other way is leading to a kind of mindset in those people to not pursue sales as their career in future. And one of the most important factors which is leading to this kind of mindset for the youth is the closure part. So they're able to get the leads, they're able to talk with the customers, and they're able to make the customers convinced that their company is a good fit for the requirements. But at the end, when everything is done and when the food is about to be served on a platter, the customer denies the food and goes to some other vendors, and this leads to a big amount of demotivation which cannot be denied, because the entire sales and marketing process is really hard work. And after that, if it doesn't deliver results, it leads to a big time demotivation. It's not only about sales, but be it at any part of life, we might say a lot of things, but the demotivation factor never goes away. It always comes and it always resides for some time, until and unless we be so strong to let that negative factor go and fill ourselves back with optimism. So, talking about the entire sales process, now this is particularly for those people who have just spent a year or about to start their career into sales. Sales is about frustration. Sales is about getting the feeling and the vibes to quit it as a career. Because the entire sales process runs in this way. You work on, say, 1,000 data that has been assigned to you in the CRM or any other solution which different companies use to get the data assigned. So, out of 1,000 data, you might get 20 leads or 20 opportunities, out of which 10 opportunities are right away eliminated because of a lot of factors. It could be not able to deliver the requirement, or could be that we don't have the credibility to work on the requirements, or could be the client has already mentioned that the budget that they're having is not enough for our company to deliver it to them. So 10 opportunities are right away eliminated, and we have 10 opportunities left which has that capability or which are tangible to become our customers or to become a revenue generating business. Out of the 10, when we start working on those 10 opportunities, hardly one or two gets converted, and the rest, they might not be happy with the proposal that we have given to them. Now if I talk about not being happy with the proposal, it has not only to be done with the cost, it might take time into consideration, or it might take the list into consideration, it might take the features into consideration, or it might also take the attitude of the salesperson and the company in the pre-sales process, which has been done to close the sale. But the customer might not be happy. So one or two customers you might get who will choose your company to be the potential company for their requirements, and they might award you the project right then. This is the entire sales process, and this is not something uncommon in sales. You need to understand, it's not only about your company, it's not only about any other company. It's the entire sales process as a whole in the sales quorum. The decorum of sales has been designed in this way that you don't get more than 3 to 4 drops from the entire bucket of water. Now if you start taking this as a demotivation, then life will necessarily be tough. It will exhibit a lot of toughness in yourself, because sales is not the only factor where demotivation lies. Demotivation lies at every point of your life. So you should not blame sales for that. This is the sales process. So there has been a saying that the roots and the base has to be strong in order to get the most delicious and the most juicy fruit from the tree. You need to have the base strong. It's simply like an example of a tree. You have a tree, it grows, and then the branches comes out, and then the leaves comes out, and then the fruits come out, and then a lot of fruits tend to fall from the tree, and it gets shattered on the ground, and we don't feel like eating them. But that one fruit which still hangs in the tree from the branches, once you pluck it and taste it, the taste of the fruit makes you forget everything. The roots are as strong as it is. It depends on the end product of that tree. And the end product is never only based out of the root of a particular thing. It's based on a lot of other factors. Why does the fruits fall? It's not because the root is weak. It's because the wind is stronger. So there might be a lot of factors. They might not go with you. The customers might not prefer going with you because they have found more value in some other partner. They might have estimated it wrong, or they might have been into a misconception that the other company's work is better, and they might be regretting it later on. But at that point of time, it doesn't matter, and we can't give it as an excuse to not being able to meet our targets. So you need to have the pipeline stronger. And this is the same complaint which I see most of the HR people doing. They're mainly into recruitments, and then they call the candidates come for the interview, they're selected, the offer letter has been released, and after that they decide to not join the company. And the HR people constantly keep on complaining over LinkedIn or other social media platforms. Well, to be honest, basically I haven't understood the reason why the HR people do not inform the candidates if they are not selected. They really do not understand the mentality at which certain candidates come for the interview. They might desperately need a job, and they keep following up with the HR to understand if they have been selected or they have not been selected. Since they need a job and different people comes with different mentalities, there might be some people who might give just a casual interview, wherein there are certain people who are really in need of a job. But anyways, that's a complete topic altogether. But the reason and the platform on which I'm trying to base the entire discussion is, if the HR doesn't do their work properly, they don't have the right to complain in this way over social media platform. But okay, we'll talk about it, might be the next time. So optimism is something which is very very important in this thing. Until the time, and if the customer doesn't prefer choosing us as one of the vendor, there might be something where we have lacked. So instead of wailing over it, we need to understand where did we lack in gaining the customer confidence, and we need to work harder on that. Managers setting your target and the management continuously pressurizing you to meet your targets, and you need to work constantly on that, is completely different, and we need to work on that, because that's how we justify our work, our tenure and our salary. But this is also a part of self-learning, where we need to assess the reason why the customer didn't prefer to come with us and they have selected some other vendor, and what features might that vendor have provided which gave them an edge against us. The other day I was reading the story about a very famous singer, and I believe a lot of you will be listening to her songs tomorrow, since it's Friday and after office it's Friday night. So there are a lot of motivational stories, like the story of Thomas Alva Edison, or the story of Aung San Suu Kyi, or the story of Enrique, or the story of Eminem. A lot of people who have really worked hard, even the Wright brothers for that matter. But a lot of people might not know the story of this singer. Her name is Sia, the singer of Cheap Thrills. She had constantly been into tough times. Her initial albums were not successful. She tried to release a lot of songs, but those were put down by the producers and the music directors. And then she planned to shift to London to stay with her boyfriend. And the moment she was about to leave for London, she was aghasted by the news of her boyfriend's accident in Thailand, in a car accident, and she became alcoholic for 6 years, for which she blames herself, not any other person, which I find is something really really horrible which people do, that I have been drinking for this reason, I have been drinking for that reason, I have tried to take my life for this person and everything. But I think you are responsible for your own life, and Sia has clearly mentioned in an interview this thing, and she has also mentioned this in her initial songs, which is Healing the Heart, which she has dedicated to her boyfriend who died in the car accident. So she has faced immense trouble. She has been a victim of molestation, she has been a victim of nepotism, she has been a victim of the casting couch things, but she never gave up. And then finally she ended up writing songs for Britney Spears, for Shakira, for a lot of singers in Hollywood, Jennifer Lopez, and also Selena Gomez. And finally she started singing her own songs, and these days she has been one of the top chartbuster singers in Hollywood. So she never decided to give up, and whatever she has done, she has been into alcohol, she has been into drugs, she has always blamed herself. She never blamed the society, neither she has ever blamed any other person for whatever she has done to get rid of the sad part of her life. So don't complain and don't put the blame on the customers of not able to meet your targets. Your pipeline should have been bigger and larger in order to create the funnel so big. Instead of having the funnel as a mug, you should make the funnel as a tub in order to get more drops of water. So let's not keep blaming, and let's keep working hard. Let's be patient. Let's have the perseverance, since the patience and perseverance and your optimism is something that will take you forward. If something breaks your optimism, you should welcome and embrace the darkness in your life. There can't be a bigger darkness than breaking your optimism. When a person really works hard in the gym, or might be in the freehand exercise that you do at home, and then you have the RO, or might be some water supply 500 meters away from where you were standing there and then. Even after working hard and getting completely exhausted, you do not allow the accumulation of lactic acid in your body to prevent you from walking 500 meters to drink a glass of water. You give your everything to reach there and have the glass of water to refresh yourself. Optimism should be treated in that very own manner. No matter whichever individual or whichever group or whatever circumstances try to break your optimism, you should give all of yours to keep that optimism within yourself. It's up to you if you allow that optimism to be vanished from your life. And if you do that, I repeat once again, you should welcome yourself and embrace with red carpet the darkness that's about to come in your life. So never allow optimism to get away from you, no matter how much ever hard a fall you have, be it through any situation and any circumstances. Make optimism the prime part of your body, and if you have that optimism, you won't find room for excuses. And I want the same optimism in all of you, and start the new year with new positive vibes. Thank you. I wish you all a very happy new year and Merry Christmas in advance, since we'll be meeting in the month of January next time with a new podcast. And I wish you have a wonderful festive season. There are 2 weeks left, because after that you won't find customers to interact with, and then you need to work more on the data and the research part, and you need to have the entire database ready to start fresh new year from the new year. So thank you, and I'm signing off, and we'll meet next year then. Have a nice year ahead. Bye.